Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Saturday, June 11th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to leave a comment down below with what your baseball picks are for Saturday's games. Now, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at Pickdawgz.com. I'm running a daily $15 MLB best bet, so check it out at Pick Dawgz Premium. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Saturday, June 11th. First up, we see the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Minnesota Twins. Now we're going to see the long-awaited season debut from Shane Baz in this one for the Rays. He pitched pretty well last season, 2-0 with a 2.03 ERA, 18 strikeouts, and a .68 whip in limited time, only 13 in the third innings for the Rays last year. To have 18 Ks in 13 innings, very, very promising from Shane Baz, the young prospect, one of the top pitching prospects for the Rays organization. We know this organization knows pitching pretty well. They've developed some of the bigger names in baseball in terms of starting pitchers, guys that are currently in the league like Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow, or even guys that may have retired or have had long careers, Matt Garza, James Shields, David Price, the list goes on, Chris Archer when he was really pitching well. So, Shane Baz, I do think he has a bright future for the Rays, and I think he pitches well in this spot. We know when players return from injury, usually the hitters are a little bit behind the pitchers, so I don't expect Shane Baz to pitch too poorly in this outing. He does have a pretty tough test against the Minnesota Twins, but I do think overall the Rays pitchers can do a good enough job to grab the win in this spot, Baz and the bullpen included. So I'm going to take the Rays here in a lean. Not my favorite game on the board, but I am excited to see how Shane Baz debuts this season. Next up, we see the Texas Rangers taking on the Chicago White Sox. We're going to see Martin Perez and Lucas Giolito on the mound for this contest. Now, Martin Perez has certainly been the strongest starter in the Rangers rotation. He's honestly been one of the best starters in the entire American League this year. But he is coming off a little bit of a concerning start. He gave up 7 base hits in 6 innings, 2 walks, 2 earned runs, and a home run against the Seattle Mariners. He's facing a much tougher lineup, especially against lefties in the White Sox here on the road, no less. White Sox are number 2 in baseball right now in team OPS against left-handed pitching, number 4 in baseball in isolated power against left-handed pitching. And although Lucas Giolito, we've seen some inconsistencies in his game as of late, I do think he is a strong option on the mound. The Rangers prefer left-handed pitching than righties. Giolito pitches well at home with a 2.37 ERA at home this season. I think he does a good enough job here for the White Sox bats to take care of the rest. Give me the Chicago White Sox here on the money line. Next up, we see the Cincinnati Reds taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. A pair of righties going at it in this one, in Hunter Greene and Adam Wainwright. Now, Hunter Greene, we knew he was a work in progress, big-time pitching prospect, and the Reds are giving him this season to develop, and I think it's a good idea. We know the Reds aren't going to be competitors this year, contenders at all, so you might as well give your biggest pitching prospect a chance to get major league action all season long. He's going to struggle at times. We've seen that this season. He's given up a lot of home runs. But you look at his last outing, he gave up 1 hit, no earned runs, 7 innings, 8 strikeouts against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And sure, the Diamondbacks lineup may not be the strongest on paper, but they are in the top 5 in isolated power against righties, which you would think. That game was at Great American Ballpark. You have a pitcher that's given up 15 home runs already this year. You'd think a powerful lineup like Arizona would do some damage, but they couldn't do anything against Hunter Greene. And to me, I think there's some value on the Reds in this spot just because the price is outrageous here with the Cardinals laying that kind of money line price. I think this is going to be a closer game overall. I do expect a lower scoring game as well. Cardinals are ranked outside the top 15 in team OPS against righties. They much rather see left-handed starters on the mound where they're top 5 in baseball in team OPS. So I'm going to take the Cincinnati Reds here on the run line, getting the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Madison Bumgarner and Zach Wheeler are your starters here. Now, to me, this game could get ugly quick. I do think that the Phillies are going to be able to get into Madison Bumgarner early and often. Bumgarner had a great start to 2022, but he has struggled quite a bit as of late. That includes his last start against the Cincinnati Reds, where he only went 5 innings, 8 hits allowed, 4 earned runs, and a home run in that one. In the last 5 starts that Bumgarner's had, Diamondbacks have lost 4 of those 5, and 3 of those 4 losses were all on the run line. Those most 3 recent starts for Bumgarner as well. 6-4, 6-0, and 7-0. Zach Wheeler struggled at the beginning of the season. He had a few rough starts, but he has pitched well overall this year for the Phillies, coming off a 6-inning, 2-run, 9-strikeout performance against the Los Angeles Angels. Previous start to that one, only 1 earned run allowed. Previous start to that one, 2 earned runs. The last one before that one, no earned runs. So 2 or fewer earned runs in his last 4 outings. racking up the strikeouts as well. I like the Phillies in this spot on the run line. Next up, we see the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Washington Nationals. We're going to see Eric Lauer and Patrick Corbin on the mound for this game. Now, Eric Lauer has been a power pitcher this season. He does have a nice ERA at 2.38. Strikeouts aren't bad at 65 and 56 and 2/3 innings. But the home run ball does concern me. He is susceptible to the home run ball. Average exit velocity and hard hit percentage are through the roof for him this season. And although the Nationals don't always make lefties pay, I do think at home there is some value on the underdog. Now, Patrick Corbin is improving his game. The Nationals have won 2 of the last 3 starts that Corbin has pitched in. That includes his most recent outing against the Cincinnati Reds, where he went into Great American Ballpark, a very hitter-friendly park, and only gave up 3 earned runs in 6 innings of work, 5 strikeouts as well, no walks surrendered either. And I do think against the Milwaukee lineup that hasn't hit lefties too well this season at all. They're ranked 27th in baseball in team OPS against lefties. The Nationals are way better at 669 team OPS. I think the Nationals have some value, so I'm going to take the run line with the underdog here at home, the +1.5 at Washington. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Kansas City Royals. Now we're going to see Tyler Wells and Daniel Lynch on the mound for this game. You know, when I saw this projected matchup this series, you see 2 bad teams that don't really have the best bullpens, but they are starting to hit a little bit. You think over, and these starting pitching matchups so far to me have just screamed the over. I do lean towards the over yet again in this spot, but the total's getting a little bit high for this series. This one's set at 10 now, so it's going to take a lot to get over that total. Instead of taking the over, I'm leaning towards the Orioles on the money line. They opened up as the underdog, but the line's quickly moved to make this a -110 apiece money line price. I do think it makes sense that the line is moving in the Orioles' favor. I just think Tyler Wells is the much better option on the mound. A 3.78 ERA. The only thing I don't love about his game is that he doesn't strike out a lot of batters, which you'll have to see him do as he develops his game a little bit more. But he limits hard contact, limits base hits in general. His last 10 innings, he's only given up 4 total base hits, which is really solid. So I do think, against the Kansas City Royals team, they can definitely hit righties as of late. I still think Wells is good enough for the Orioles bats to take care of the rest against Daniel Lynch, who I think is one of the worst starters in the division right now. So I'm going to take the Baltimore Orioles here on the money line. I think they get a win here at Kauffman Stadium. Next up, we see the Miami Marlins taking on the Houston Astros. Braxton Garrett and Framber Valdez on the mound for this one. This is the type of game that I am going to fade the Marlins in, as they are facing a left-handed starter. Marlins just don't hit lefties well at all this year. They're ranked dead last in baseball in team OPS against lefties. They're also number 1 in baseball in strikeout percentage, striking out a 29.2% clip against lefties this year. And Framber Valdez has been one of the better lefties in the league this year. 2.61 ERA, a 6-2 record. Braxton Garrett is a lefty, and the Astros don't really prefer left-handed pitching when it comes to offense, but Garrett struggled mightily in his major league debut. 3 1/3 inning, 4 earned runs, and a home run in his first start against the Giants. That was a 5-1 Marlins loss. I'm going to take the Astros here on the run line at home. Next up, we see the Oakland Athletics taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Frankie Montas and Zach Plesac on the mound for this game. Now, it's really tough to take the Oakland A's right now. They are probably playing like the worst team in baseball currently. Not getting there, on a big-time losing streak at the time of me recording this. We'll see if they can snap it on Friday night. But they are just losing a lot of games on the run line as well. 8-4, 13-2, 3-2, 5-2, 8-0, 7-2. So it's tough to back them, but this is a spot where I do think there is some value in at least the first 5 innings. I don't want to mess with that Oakland A's bullpen whatsoever. It's been one of the worst in the league this year, while the Guardians have been one of the most strongest bullpens, as they have one of the lower ERAs. But I do think this pitching matchup benefits Oakland. Frankie Montas, no doubt about it, is their strongest starter in that rotation. I do think if he gets traded at the deadline, he will bring a ton of value into the Oakland organization. The last time out, only 1 earned run allowed. He still got the loss because the bats didn't back him up, but he's facing Zach Plesac in this game, and Plesac's a guy that I've basically auto-faded this season, and that includes his last few starts, where he's given up at least a home run in each of his last 5 starts for the Guardians. Strikeouts are starting to pick it up a little bit for Plesac, but still giving up a ton of base hits. And I think if there was a game in this series that Oakland would compete in the most, this would be the one. So I'm going to take the Oakland A's in the first 5 innings of this one on the money line. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Atlanta Braves. We're going to see Zach Thompson and Charlie Morton on the mound for this contest. Now, this is the type of game where, the Atlanta Braves are red hot. They are making their comeback here in the division standings. They were under 500, went on a big-time win streak. The offense is getting it done. The bullpen has been really sharp, and I do think they're going to get another win in this spot. I'll lay the run line with Atlanta here. Zach Thompson has pitched better as of late, but he's still giving up 3 home runs combined in his last 3 outings. He doesn't pitch too deep into ball games, and I don't really like the Pittsburgh Pirates bullpen either. Charlie Morton, I'm still waiting for him to break out this season, as he is struggling quite a bit overall, but the Pittsburgh Pirates offense just hasn't been very good, especially on the road this season. And against right-handed pitching also, I much prefer to take the Pirates in an underdog role when they're facing a lefty, as they've had a lot more success against lefties than righties this season. Pittsburgh is ranked 26th in the league in team OPS against righties, as well as 26th in isolated power against righties. So I'm going to take the Atlanta Braves here. Not my favorite game on the board, because there's just not a lot of value in this game. The Braves are big favorites here, but I think they're big favorites for a reason. Give me the run line with Atlanta. Next up, we see the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Detroit Tigers. We're going to see Kevin Gausman and Bo Brisky on the mound for this one. Now, Kevin Gausman, I do think, has a little bit of an issue right now. I thought he was tipping his pitches in his start against the Chicago White Sox, and then against the Minnesota Twins, he was only able to go 3 2/3 innings. But the thing is, he's not facing the White Sox or the Twins here. He's facing one of the weaker offenses in baseball in the Detroit Tigers, and he's also the opposite against Bo Brisky, a guy that I have faded quite a bit this season. I'm going to continue to fade here. Bo Brisky's given up 5 home runs in his last 11 2/3 innings. That's just not going to get it done against the Blue Jays, a very powerful lineup against right-handed pitching. And I do think the Blue Jays are going to win this game pretty comfortably on the road. I'm willing to lay the run line here. When you look at Toronto's offense against right-handed pitching, they're ranked 7th in the league in isolated power against righties, 6th in the league, and even better against team OPS against righties as well. And the Detroit Tigers ranked 29th in the league in team OPS against righties and dead last in baseball in isolated power against righties. I just don't see how their offense is going to keep up. I know it was a big addition to the lineup to bring back Austin Meadows from injury, but I don't think it's enough here to compete. This could be a higher scoring game early, but I do think the Blue Jays pull away and win this game comfortably on the road. Next up, we see a doubleheader between the Colorado Rockies and the San Diego Padres. Now, I'm going to do something a little different with this doubleheader. You guys know I am not the biggest fan of doubleheader games, just because we usually see a lot of information change right before the games start, and therefore the value we may see in the beginning of the day or the day before, not always there right before the game starts. But in this doubleheader, I do think there is a mismatch in both starting pitching matchups with Ryan Feltner and Mike Clevenger in Game 1, and then Mackenzie Gore and Kyle Freeland in Game 2. I do like the Padres in both games, but instead of just taking them on the money line, which is not an option at minus 200 plus, or just taking them on the run line, which is still going to be like minus 110, minus 120, I say we lay 2.5 runs in each game. We're going to be getting plus money for each of those plays in Game 1 and in Game 2. And all you would need to do to show a profit with these doubleheader games is just to win one of those minus 2.5 bets. If you win Game 1, that profit that you've got in Game 1 pays for the bet in Game 2, and you're up still in the green. So I'm going to take the Padres minus 2.5 in both games. Certainly not something I'm rushing to the window to do, but that's how I think the most value can be found in this series. Next up, we see the Chicago Cubs taking on the New York Yankees. Now, I think this is another pitching mismatch here with Matt Swarmer and Jordan Montgomery. I'm going to take the Yankees on the run line here. I know they're one of the bigger favorites on the board, so not a lot of value to go around in this game, but Matt Swarmer giving up 3 home runs in his first 12 innings of the season. He does have 11 strikeouts, which isn't too bad, but still not a guy that I would want to back at Yankee Stadium. A very inexperienced pitcher. I'm not going to say he's young because he's 28 years old, but pretty inexperienced major league career. And Jordan Montgomery's been really good for the Yankees this season. I believe he's pitched 13 times, and the only 2 starts in those 13, he's given up more than 2 earned runs. So he is pitching really consistently. He's not going to blow anybody away with his ERA, a 3.02 ERA. But he has been as consistent gets for the Yankees. And I'm actually looking at the numbers now. Only 2 starts this season. He's given up more than 2 earned runs in a game. And both of those starts were 3 earned runs. So hasn't gotten cracked all season long. And he's faced some lineups, Red Sox, the White Sox as a lefty. That's pretty tough to do. The Rangers, the Blue Jays, so the Angels as well. So I'm going to take the Yankees here on the run line, lay the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the San Francisco Giants. Now, we don't have an official lineup for this game as the Giants have not announced a starter, but we should see Julio Urias on the mound for the Dodgers. You know, this is going to be a tough game. It's going to be on national television. We know these two teams do not like each other whatsoever. I am leaning towards the home team here in the Giants. They do have a lot of success against left-handed pitching this season, as they're in the top 10 in both team OPS and isolated power against lefties. I know they had some injuries in that lineup, but they are getting healthier and healthier. I thought the addition of Austin Wynns as the new catcher was a good idea. Joey Bart struggling in the majors. It's a good idea to probably bring him back down so he can develop in the minor leagues until he's ready. Still a big-time prospect for San Francisco, but Austin Wynns is a veteran piece that I think is a good idea for the Giants to bring him in. He looked pretty solid in his Giants debut, and I do like the Giants overall in this game. Not my favorite game overall, but I do think there's going to be some value with the home team here. So give me the Giants on the money line. Next up, we see the New York Mets taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Carlos Carrasco and Michael Lorenzen on the mound for this one. And the Angels were able to snap that losing streak, but I don't like him in this spot against the New York Mets. Carlos Carrasco, Cookie Carrasco, he has been solid for the Mets. Didn't expect it. He's one of the surprise pitchers for me. Him and guys like Martin Perez, guys that I'm used to fading, they have really shown up this season. And Carrasco went 7 innings, 2 earned runs with 10 strikeouts last time out. The Mets have won all of the last 4 games that Carrasco has pitched in, and in all 4 of those games, the Mets covered the run line as well. The offense is getting it done, most especially against right-handed pitching, and they're facing a righty here, and a righty that I do think has a lot of regression in this game that I'd worry about in Michael Lorenzen. The Mets are 3rd in baseball in team OPS against righties. They get on base at a great clip. They don't strike out a lot, and I do think they're going to get the win here. We don't have to lay too much of a price here on the road. Give me the Mets on the money line. Our next game, we see the Boston Red Sox taking on the Seattle Mariners. We'll see Michael Wacha and George Kirby on the mound for this game. I was really surprised to see the Mariners as the favorites in this game, and they're minus 130, so pretty sizable favorites as well. As we know, Wacha has a 1.99 ERA, so much sharper numbers on paper. The Red Sox have a much better record than the Mariners do. They already owned them at Fenway Park in a 4-game sweep, so I was surprised to see the Mariners as the favorites with the rookie on the mound, but George Kirby has pitched really well in his last 2 outings. His last 12 innings, he's gotten 11 strikeouts, only 2 earned runs allowed, only 1 walk allowed as well. And it depends on this start. Are we going to see the Kirby that just pitched well against the Rangers and Orioles? Or are we going to see the Kirby that struggled against this Red Sox lineup, struggled against the Oakland A's back on the 24th of May? It is kind of up in the air, but I do think with the Mariners being the favorites in this spot, it does tell me that the books trust them a little bit more. And I also think the regression is a worry for me with Michael Wacha's game. There's no way he's going to have a sub-2 ERA the rest of the season. There's just no way. He doesn't strike out enough batters, only 33 Ks in 49 2/3 innings. He isn't getting hit too hard right now. The Angels didn't do much against him in the last outing, but I still don't love the way his average exit velocities are looking. I don't like his expected batting average, expected slugging percentage, and I do think a Mariners team that plays its best ball at home and starting to hit a lot more and more, looking for revenge against the Red Sox team that owned them only a few weeks ago. I think this is a good spot to take Seattle. I'm going to take the Mariners here as the home team on the money line. And that's it. Those are the games for Saturday, June 11th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at Pickdawgz.com. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.